Good afternoon, everybody. Normally we would be playing Curse of Straw tonight, but we're not able to get together and get schedules worked out and whatnot. So I decided to go back to Festival of the Blades, a story about Simon, a tiefling fighter, eldritch knight slash thief. He's fourth level, and I've got a summary of what happened the last game I played with him. We'll start with that.
Here's your summary for Episode 6 Fire Against the Storm of Festival of the Blades. Episode 6 summary Fire Against the Storm. With his title as a finalist secured, Simon prepared for his most dangerous opponent yet, Sir Albrecht the Stormblade, a two-time champion wielding the storm-infused greatsword Tempestrend. Known for overwhelming foes with thunder and lightning magic, Albrecht would not be easily defeated. Simon began the morning with meditation and recon, learning Albrecht's patterns and weaknesses, chiefly his reliance on momentum, thunderous charges, and brutal force. With insight gained, Simon visited Arksteel Road to buy a final edge, the elixir of rooted will, which would prevent him from being shoved or knocked prone and grant advantage on constitution saves. The Grand Final Simon versus Sir Albrecht. The final battle took place in Arena 1, surrounded by a roaring crowd. Albrecht opened with his signature Stormburst charge, slamming Simon with a critical hit, but thanks to the elixir, Simon stood his ground. Simon responded with precise strikes from his twin scimitars, enhanced by the Skybreaker's Knot, a magical item that surged with power after resisting thunder or lightning. He carved through Albrecht's armor, drawing blood and stunning the crowd. Albrecht retaliated with a war cry, trying to deafen and stagger Simon, but the flame held firm. Simon used this moment to unleash a barrage of empowered strikes, dealing 19 total damage in a single turn and forcing the champion to his knees. Finally, Simon cast Toll the Dead, channeling the deep, echoing bell of Valharan's will. The necrotic magic tore through Albrecht's defenses and brought the Titan crashing down. Open quote. Sir Albrecht yielded. Simon was declared the champion. Close quote. Victory and rewards. Earned 1,000 GP in prize money. Received the Mantle of the Flameforged, a magic cloak that grants resistance to fire damage. Lets Simon stay at 1 HP instead of falling to 0 once per day. Erupts in flame, damaging nearby enemies if this happens. Gained a place in Varelian history and the right to choose from the champion's vault. After a final quiet moment at the Rose and Raven Inn, Simon attuned to the mantle and took a long rest, ready for whatever comes next. Simon the Ember is no longer just a name, he is now a legend. Let me know when you're ready to begin episode 7, or if you want to shape the next arc, new threats, mysteries, or paths to uncover.
All right, let's make sure I've got 1,000 gold pieces. $1,004. Mantle of the Flame Forge is already in, so that should do it. What what level is Simon now?
Simon remains at level 4 as of the end of episode 6. Here's why. The Festival of the Blades adventure arc has focused more on tactical growth, item acquisition, and narrative progression than traditional XP based leveling. While Simon has earned massive renown, magical items, and a permanent legacy in Virillion, he hasn't yet faced the kind of long term or high stakes questline that would justify a full level up based on milestones or campaign pacing. That said, if you'd like episode 7 to mark the start of a new campaign arc featuring larger threats, travel beyond Virillion, deeper involvement with Valherin, or exposure to cosmic or extraplanar forces, then we can absolutely justify leveling Simon to 5 at the start of episode 7. Let me know if you want this next chapter to begin with a level up, or if you'd prefer to keep things grounded in street level intrigue and build up to it.
Wait and build up to it. I'm ready to start the next arc. So let's begin.
Perfect. We'll let the fire build slowly, smoldering under the surface until it's ready to burn again. Festival of the Blades, Episode 7 Ashes in the Mirror. Location Verelion, 2 days after the grand final. The drums have gone silent, the banners have come down, and the city that once chanted your name has returned to its rhythm. Politics, trade, secrets whispered in alleys. But not for you. For Simon, something lingers. You've rested, you've eaten well. You've been offered drinks by nobles, duels by cocky sellswords, and favors by people with eyes too sharp and smiles too thin. Yet last night you saw it. Open quote. A faint glow in your room where no light source burned. A flicker of fire behind your reflection in the mirror. And a voice, not a whisper this time, but a breath on your neck. Close quote. Open quote. Others have seen you now, but something else sees through you. Close quote. You wake up in the Rose and Raven Inn, late morning. You hear a commotion downstairs, not loud, but urgent. A messenger has arrived. He asks for you by name. Open quote. Champion Simon, I bring a summons. From Lady Varison. You are requested at the Mirror Hall immediately. Close quote. What you know of Lady Varison and the Mirror Hall. Varison is a reclusive noble arcanist who specializes in illusions and divination. The Mirror Hall is her private observatory, temple, and scrying chamber. Rumors say her mirrors can reflect not what is, but what is hidden. You've never been summoned by her before. What does Simon do? Head there immediately? Prepare something first? Question the messenger? Or follow up on something else in the city? Your next arc begins here. Something is looking back through the fire.
Okay, I guess I'll just head there immediately. Immediately head to see Farrison.
Posh, to the mirror hall. Invitation into the unknown. You dress quickly, gear strapped down, mantle of the flame forged secured at your shoulders. You leave the Rose and Raven behind without a word, moving through Verelian's morning haze. The streets are quieter now. Too quiet. It's not just that the festival has ended, it's that people have begun watching you like a signal fire that hasn't gone out. You reach the upper terraces of the Old Glass District, where lanterns hang unlit beneath stained glass awnings, and the air smells faintly of copper and perfume. Before you stands a wide, domed building of silver veined obsidian and arched glass, the Mirror Hall. Two guards outside don robes stitched with thread of moonlight. They see you and open the doors without speaking. Inside the Mirror Hall, the interior is utterly silent. No windows, no candles. The light comes only from reflections. Mirrors line every wall, some tall as trees, some barely larger than your palm. None of them show the room as it is. Some show rooms you don't recognize. Others flicker. One appears to show you older and bloodied, whispering something you can't hear. And then she appears, Lady Varison. Tall, still, wrapped in layers of velvet and opal threaded silk, Lady Varison seems half translucent as she walks. Her eyes are mismatched, one pale lavender, the other pure black. She does not smile. Open quote. Simon, champion, chosen of something fireborn and half forgotten. Close quote. She circles you slowly, as though studying not your form, but your outline in another realm. Open quote. You've stirred something, child of steel and ember, something buried under centuries of silence. I've seen it in mirrors that should not tremble. Close quote. She turns toward a mirror unlike the rest, this one framed in raven feathers and bone, the glass surface rippling like water. Open quote. Something has begun to watch you, and through you, it may enter this world. Close quote. She steps back. Open quote. I offer no prophecy, only a door. If you would see what watches you, touch the glass. Close quote. Simon's choice. Touch the mirror and enter the vision? Ask Varison for more details first? Refuse and walk away? Try to investigate the mirror magically or physically? The next arc begins in earnest. What stares back from behind the flame?
Simon will ask person what will happen if I touch the mirror.
Lady Varison turns her head toward you, slow and deliberate. Her voice drops to a near whisper, though the words ring clear, as if echoing inside your mind. Open quote. You will be seen more clearly. Close quote. She gestures toward the mirror, which ripples like oil over firelight, the reflection within showing only darkness, with the faintest flicker of embers at the edge. Open quote. This is not a portal. It is not a trap. It is a revelation. What watches you cannot yet touch you, but it can speak. It may show you where your fire comes from, or what it wants in return. Close quote. She pauses, her mismatched eyes locked on yours. Open quote. But understand this, Simon. Once it sees you through your own eyes, it may begin to move. If you touch the mirror, the next path begins. Close quote. Her hand brushes the edge of the feather and bone frame. You notice now, some of the feathers are blackened, charred. Open quote. Do not touch it lightly. Close quote. You now understand. The mirror is a communication link, not a trap or teleport. It will allow the entity watching you, perhaps Valherin or something deeper, to make contact. Doing so will begin the next phase of your arc, awakening its influence. What does Simon do? Touch the mirror, ask more about Valherin, walk away and seek knowledge elsewhere. Try to prepare before making contact. Your next flame awaits.
I will ask if she knows of Valharan.
Lady Verison's eyes narrow slightly at the name, not in fear, but in the way a scholar might squint at an ancient half remembered glyph. She exhales once, soft, controlled. Open quote, Valharan. Yes, but the name has changed through the centuries. Close quote. She turns from the mirror, stepping toward one of the far walls where a thin vertical mirror reflects only smoke. Open quote. It was once written as Velaharan, a title, not a name. The one who burns behind the veil, a patron of warriors, a destroyer of deceivers, a purifier of falsehood. But then, the veils themselves began to shift. Close quote. She glides her fingers over the smoke mirror. The surface clears to show a battlefield, scorched earth, a warrior made of fire and bone, standing atop a pile of broken blades. Open quote. Some say Valharan was one of the Veiled Ones, entities who existed before names, whose power was traded through oaths and visions. Close quote. Her voice drops to something colder. Open quote. Others say Valharan is a fragment of something greater. Not a god, not a demon, but a memory of war given shape and will. Close quote. She looks at you again, this time with something almost like sorrow. Open quote. You carry its ember, Simon. I saw it even before you won the tournament. It is not done with you. Close quote. She gestures once more to the mirror rimmed in raven feathers. Open quote. If you want answers, this is the path. But know this, no fire ever gives warmth without wanting something burned. Close quote. The stakes are clearer now. Valharan may be more than a name. It may be a living concept or forgotten power. Contact through the mirror could unlock truth, visions, or obligations. You are not the only one who knows the name. What does Simon do now? Touch the mirror? Ask more? Prepare? This is the edge of revelation.
Simon will touch the mirror.
The mirror speaks, contact begins, Simon reaches out. His fingers hover over the feather and bone frame for a heartbeat. The glass is cold, colder than stone, colder than death. And then, he touches it. Blackness, smoke, heat. You feel yourself falling, but not in distance. You fall inward. Your breath is gone. Your heart forgets to beat. Your skin doesn't exist. You are not in a place, but in a presence. Then, light. A single ember flickers in the dark. Then another. And another. Each one a heartbeat, a scream, a memory of fire. A voice in the flame. It speaks without words, but your mind knows its meaning. Open quote. You have done well, Ember Bearer. Close quote. Open quote. You have drawn eyes. You have shown strength. You have been seen. Close quote. The ember pulses, and now you see glimpses of your journey. The final blow to the shade, your scimitars crossing the Stormblade's chest, the moment you whispered Valharan and struck with fire. The reflection, your eyes glowing faintly with something other. Then a question. Open quote. You seek to know what I am. Close quote. Open quote. But would you rather know me or wield me? Close quote. The flame offers a choice. This is not a contract. Not yet, but it is a threshold. Simon now must choose. 1. I want to know you. You seek truth, vision, and understanding. You will receive insight into Valharan's nature, history, and the forces behind your ember. This path may open you to mystery, riddles, and layered truth. 2. I want to wield you. You embrace the flame as a weapon, whatever it may cost. This path leads to power, abilities, boons, and consequences. The truths may come later, wrapped in fire and battle. What does Simon say to the presence of Valharan?
I want to wield you.
Then you shall burn brighter. The ember before you flares, not in welcome, but in recognition. It expands into a ring of fire, encircling your presence in this formless place. You feel it thread itself into your breath, your thoughts, your blood. Open quote, good. You are not the first to ask, but you may be the first to endure. Close quote. The voice changes now. It stops echoing and speaks directly through you as if it's always been in your chest. Open quote. The world is full of veils, illusion, lies, cowards hiding behind masks and shadows. Close quote. Open quote. When you strike, I will let the mask fall. Close quote. Open quote. When you are struck, I will keep your fire lit. Close quote. Open quote. But if you ever falter, if you ever forget the cost, I will burn through you to find another. Close quote. Vision ends, you return. Your hand recoils from the mirror. The glass is cracked, a spiderweb fracture radiating from where your fingers touched it. Lady Varison has stepped far back. Her expression is one of awe and quiet alarm. Open quote. You chose power, she says softly. Then may your fire never fail. Close quote. Simon now carries Valharan's boon. This is a new subclass-like progression path, granted by the entity known as Valharan, the Ember in the Veil. You will now begin gaining Ember powers, manifestations of this flame's influence. Some passive, some activated, all unique to Simon. Your first Ember power, Ember Brand. When Simon hits a creature with a weapon attack, he may choose to brand the target with Valharan's flame. The brand lasts 1 minute and causes the target to shed dim light in a 10-foot radius. While branded, the target cannot benefit from invisibility, and Simon always knows its location, even behind cover. This ability can be used once per long rest. Visual. When activated, your blade leaves a faint burning glyph on the target's flesh, visible to others. Simon has taken his first step as the bearer of the Ember. The next time you face magic, darkness, or lies, Valharan will burn with you. Would you like to return to the city and continue the story from here? Or follow a thread from Varison's warnings? Let me know what Simon does next.
Simon will return to the city and go back to the market looking for some work.
Return to Verilion, a champion in the market. The sun is high now as Simon steps out from the silver black shadows of the mirror hall and back into the pulse of the city. The old glass district smells of quartz dust and drying ink. But as you descend the terraces into the outer districts, the world becomes louder. Carts clattering, barkers shouting, and music from distant corners echoing across the rooftops. Some people recognize you now. A few bow, others just nod warily. But most, they move aside without a word. Open quote. The fire around you is subtle, but people feel it now. Close quote. Arksteel Row, Verelian Market Square. You return to the part of the city where metal, magic, and money collide. Shops hiss with steam, vendors hawk enchanted trinkets, and mercenaries patrol like dogs on two short leashes. You spot a familiar face. Telren the Thin, the old bookmaker turned information broker, waving you down from under a canvas awning beside a half-rusted golem arm. Open quote, Simon! Flame boy, good timing. Close quote. He leans close, voice low, pulling out a cracked clipboard. Open quote. There's work, good work. And now that you're famous and possibly cursed, the offers got interesting. Close job board, available work. Choose one. 1. Echoes in the Drain, 50 GP plus hazard pay. A wealthy alchemist claims something is haunting her distillery down in the sewer tunnels beneath the city. People keep hearing voices in the drain grates. Someone saw a mirror speaking back. Open quote. Low light job, probably cursed, but nobody's died yet. That's a good sign. Close quote. Half 2. Blades for hire, negotiable rate, combat trial. House Deathrin, a minor noble family, is looking for a private dueling instructor to train their youngest heir. Word is the kids got talent, but also visions and something called fire sickness. They specifically requested someone with arena fire. Open quote. No bloodshed, just drills. Unless the kid turns out weird. Close quote. 3. Courier of Shadows, 75 GP flat, bonus for speed. A contact from the Night Glass Syndicate needs a trusted blade to deliver a sealed package to the edge of the drowned quarter. Must avoid the guard, diviners, and possibly something worse that's been eating messengers. Open quote. Don't open the package. Don't ask about the package. Don't bleed on the package. Close quote. Telrin lifts a brow. Open quote. What's it gonna be, champion? Got a flame to feed, right? Close quote. Which job does Simon take? Or would you like to ask more about one before choosing?
I'd like to know more about the blades for hire.
Telren's crooked grin returns as he leans on the clipboard. Open quote. Ah, the soft one with teeth, huh? Good choice if you're looking to get paid without bleeding, though there's still a chance of bleeding, mind you. Close quote. He flips a few pages, then taps a neatly scribed notice bearing a wax seal shaped like a phoenix with a dagger in its talon. Job brief. Blades for hire. Employer, House Dithrin. Minor nobility from the Vale Spire Quarter. Client, Darian Dethrin. Youngest child of Lord Arias Dethrin, age 14. Request. A private dueling instructor for short-term contract, 2 to 3 days minimum. Pay. 10 GP per session, negotiable. Plus potential bonus if heir demonstrates improved control. Additional details. Darian has exhibited a rare magical condition known as fire sickness, random surges of energy, especially under stress or emotional tension. These aren't full spells, but arcs of heat or spontaneous combustion, which can flare mid duel. House Deathrin doesn't want to cure it. They want it controlled, channeled. They specifically requested a champion with experience channeling volatile energy, meaning you. Telrin taps the page again. Open quote. Word is, Darian's mother isn't around anymore, and the older siblings aren't thrilled that the little ones got some kind of fire god whispering in their ear. It ain't dangerous yet, but you'd be training a blade that might cut deeper than expected. Close quote. He adds with a chuckle. Open quote. Bonus? You get to sleep indoors and nobody asks you to crawl through sewage. Close quote. What Simon would be doing, sparring with Darian, teaching footwork, timing, restraint, possibly offering insight into how your own flame stays controlled, observing whether this fire sickness is innate, arcane, or possibly related to your own ember. This job could open up a storyline involving ties between Darian's power and Valherin, a noble house's hidden agenda, mentorship and legacy dynamics for Simon, possible future ally or future enemy. Open quote. So, Flame Boy, Telrin says, you gonna teach the fire how to hold a blade? Close quote. Take the job? Or ask about another one?
I'm going to start a new chat to clear the air. I want you to use the previous use this chat as a base to start with the new job.
Got it. We'll use everything from this chat, Simon's connection to Valherin, his growing legend, his new Emberbrand power, and the champion of the Festival of the Blades title, as the foundation. When you start the next chat, just say, open quote, let's begin the Blades for Hire job for Simon. Close quote. And I'll pick up from there with House Dithrin, Darian, and the flickering mystery of fire sickness, all tied back to Simon's evolving flame. See you soon, champion.
Okay.
All right, let's kick off Simon's Blades for Hire job. Scene, the offer. The market square hums with late afternoon commerce. Merchants call out deals, and the tang of roasting meat mixes with the acrid scent of burning pitch from the smithies. A shadowed alcove near the edge of the square hides a narrow table where three figures sit, their cloaks marked with the crossed blade and scale insignia of the Blades for Hire. One of them, a wiry half elf with close cropped silver hair, taps a rolled parchment against the table. Open quote. Simon, right? Words out you're looking for coin. We've got work, not the kind you put on a resume. Dangerous, pays well. Interested? Close quote. The job brief. Objective. Recover an item called the Azure Ledger from the abandoned warehouse district by the docks. Complication. The building is now a hideout for the Crimson Harriers, a street gang notorious for knife work and disappearances. Reward. 150 gold pieces and a favor owed by the Blades for Hire. Time frame. Tonight, before the Harriers relocate. The parchment unrolls to reveal a rough map of the dock district with a skull and crossbones drawn over one building. Open quote. The ledger's locked in the office safe. You'll need to get in, get it, and get out. No fireballs in the street unless you like attention. Close quote. Do you want Simon to accept immediately and head to the docks, ask questions about the Crimson Harriers in the warehouse, or negotiate for more coin before agreeing?
Tell me how many Crimson Harriers are there, and how well trained are they? At least it's faster now that I got a new chat going.
The half elf leans back in his chair, the corner of his mouth twitching like he's not sure if your question amuses or irritates him. Open quote. Depends on the night. They don't move in one big pack. They hunt in cells of 4 to 6. Think rats with knives and a taste for blood. Don't mistake them for street punks, though. Every one of them's been through what they call the pit, bare knuckle fights until you can't stand, and if you can't stand, you don't come back. You'll see the fresh ones with crooked noses and split knuckles, but the veterans, they're quick, dirty, and trained enough to gut a man before he can draw. Figure you'll meet a mix of both in there. Close quote. From the way he traces the skull mark on the map, you get the sense he expects you to be facing at least a half dozen Harriers inside tonight. Possibly more if they've called in extra muscle for whatever's going on. Do you want Simon to scout the warehouse first, head straight in, or try to lure a few Harriers out before engaging?
Simon will scout the warehouse first with the plan to lure a few Harriers out after that.
Got it. Simon moves into scout mode. Scene: dockside shadows. The sun's dipped low, painting the dock district in rust and shadow. The smell of stagnant water mingles with tar and fish guts. Rats skitter along the pilings, and the creak of moored ships echoes like slow, dragging footsteps. The warehouse in question squats at the end of a side street, flanked by leaning stacks of cargo crates. Its slate roof is missing a few tiles, and grimy lantern light seeps out between warped planks in the boarded windows. From your vantage in the shadows, roll a stealth check for Simon to approach without drawing attention. Roll a perception check to gather details about guards, patrol routes, and other potential openings. Once we have those rolls, we'll see what Simon learns, and then we can set up the lure.
So I need a stealth check. The stealth roll was a 20, and the perception roll was a 7.
With that 20 stealth, Simon is a phantom, just another shadow in the evening fog. His boots make no sound against the damp cobblestones, and even the gulls seem to hush as he slips closer. The 7 perception means the details blur in the murky lantern light. You catch shapes and movement, but no sharp count. You see at least 2 Harriers smoking and leaning against the side door, passing a bottle between them. Their laughter has that cruel inside joke edge. Dim silhouettes move past an upper window now and then, probably more inside, but you can't tell how many. A low, rhythmic thump comes from within, like someone sharpening blades on a whetstone or chopping meat. You don't spot any obvious traps or extra sentries, but that doesn't mean they're not there. You're just not catching them in the gloom. Do you want Simon to 1. Cause a distraction to lure the side door pair out? 2. Pick off the side door guards quietly? 3. Circle around for another angle to gather more intel before acting?
Circle around to gather more information.
Simon melts deeper into the maze of dockside shadows, keeping low as he skirts the warped planks and stacked crates. The damp boards underfoot groan in places, but with his earlier 20s stealth, not a single Harrier seems the wiser. Circle sweep, back of the warehouse. The rear wall faces directly over the water. There's a sagging pier here, half collapsed into the harbor. A set of barnacle encrusted pilings juts out, and a small boat is tied beneath the pier. No guards in sight back here. Rooftop access. A loose cargo net hangs from a stack of crates against the west wall, reaching almost to the roof's lip. It looks climbable, though rotten in spots. Might require a good athletics check to avoid a noisy fall. Windows. There's a pair of grimy, high set windows on the north side. One cracked open just enough to leak faint light. Inside, you hear low voices and the scrape of wood, possibly moving crates or rummaging. Additional movement. On the east side, hidden in a pocket of shadow, you spot a third Harrier taking a piss against the wall. He's got a short sword at his belt and looks bored. You now know. Front south, 2 guards at side door. East, 1 guard alone distracted. North, possible stealth entry through window. West, cargo net to roof. Back water, unwatched pier and boat. Do you want Simon to neutralize the lone guard, slip in through the window, try the roof approach, or use the boat pier for entry? Or do you still want to stage a lure based on this new intel?
Simon will try to slip through the window. What is my goal again?
Your goal is to retrieve the Azure Ledger from inside the Crimson Harrier's warehouse before they relocate it. The ledger is supposed to be kept inside the office safe on the warehouse's upper floor, containing names, amounts, and coded notes, likely important to the Blades for Hire's client. Best retrieved quietly, since the Harriers will scatter or destroy it if they sense trouble. Restating Simon's mission. 1. Get in undetected if possible. 2. Locate the office and open the safe. 3. Retrieve the Azure Ledger. 4. Get out alive, preferably before the Harriers know you're there. Since Simon's heading for the north side window, you'll need athletics or acrobatics check to quietly get up to it without clatter, stealth check to slip inside without alerting the voices you heard. Want me to give you the inside layout once you succeed?
Yes, please. Athletics or acrobatics? Acrobatics is 2, athletics is 5. Simon's athletics. Say 16. My stealth check is 10.
With the 16 athletics, Simon scales the stacked crates and hauls himself up to the window ledge with quiet efficiency. The cracked frame creaks under his weight, but not enough to give him away. The 10 stealth, though, means your entry isn't perfectly silent. A low thunk from your boots hitting the inside floor makes one of the voices in the next room pause mid sentence. Inside the warehouse. Upper floor layout. You've climbed in through a high set window into a cramped storage loft. The air is thick with dust and the scent of old hemp rope. From here, to your left, a railing overlooks the main warehouse floor below, crates, barrels, and shadows moving under dim lantern light. Ahead, a half open sliding door leads into a narrow corridor. Voices drift from somewhere past it, along with the occasional clink of glass. Far end of the loft, a closed, reinforced wooden door with a brass nameplate. Office. You also spot a short ladder leading down to the main floor along the east wall, where a couple of harriers are moving a crate. Because of that thunk, you hear one of the voices in the corridor call out, open quote, "Oi, you hear that?" Close quote. You have just seconds before someone comes to investigate. Do you want Simon to 1. Dash to the office door and try to get inside before they arrive? 2. Hide in the loft and let them pass? 3. Set an ambush for whoever comes to check? 4. Slip down the ladder to lose them in the main floor shadows?
Simon will hide in the loft and let them pass.
Simon drops low into the shadows between two towering stacks of burlap sacks, the dust and hemp fibers clinging to his armor. He steadies his breathing, listening. The approach. Footsteps echo on the creaky loft boards. A silhouette appears in the half-open doorway, a wiry human with patchy stubble, clutching a short sword in one hand and a half-empty bottle in the other. He peers around, muttering, open quote, "Damn rats in the rafters again." Close quote. Another set of footsteps joins him, heavier, accompanied by the rasp of a drawn dagger. They step into the loft, scanning lazily. Stealth check to stay hidden. Roll for Simon. The result will determine if they walk past you or if they spot something that draws their attention. If you pass, they'll move on and leave the path to the office door clear. If you fail, we roll initiative. What's your stealth roll?
Come on, stealth roll. 23. My stealth roll was a 23.
With a 23 stealth, Simon is as much a part of the loft as the dust and shadows themselves. The two harriers poke around half-heartedly. One kicks at a coil of rope, the other squints toward the window you came through, but neither looks in your direction. Open quote, "Told you, rats," the stubbly one grumbles, taking a swig from his bottle. Yeah, well, if it's a rat big enough to pay rent, we'll know soon enough, the heavier one replies. Ira. Close quote. They retreat back down the corridor, their voices fading into the din of the main floor. The path is clear. The reinforced office door at the far end of the loft now stands unguarded. You're still in a quiet infiltration window, but you can hear movement downstairs. The harriers below haven't been alerted, but they're still active. Do you want Simon to 1. Head straight for the office door and try to get in? 2. Check for traps on the door before touching it? 3. Eavesdrop at the office door to make sure no one's inside?
Simon will check the door for traps while listening for voices on the other side.
Simon moves up to the office door, careful to keep his weight off the squeakiest boards. Investigation for traps. Run your investigation check. This will determine if Simon spots any hidden wires, pressure plates, or magical triggers. Listening for voices. At the same time, give me a perception check. This will tell us if Simon catches any sound from inside the office. What are your rolls?
My investigation roll was a 15, and the perception roll was 14.
With an investigation 15, Simon carefully runs gloved fingers along the seams of the office door, checks the hinges, and peers at the lock mechanism. You find no sign of physical traps, no tripwires, spring loaded blades, or glass vials waiting to shatter. However, the lock is a decent quality tumbler type. Forcing it will make some noise unless you pick it cleanly. With a perception 14, you lean in and hold your breath. From inside, you hear the faint tick, tick of a clock and the occasional creak of wood as the building settles. No voices, no movement. It seems empty. The door is locked but not trapped. Do you want Simon to 1. Pick the lock, dexterity check with thieves' tools, 2. Force the lock, strength check, noisy, 3. Wait and watch the corridor before acting?
Simon will attempt to pick the lock as quietly as he can. Dexterity check. 22. He rolled a natural 20 for a total of 22.
The lock never stood a chance. With that natural 20, Simon's thieves' tools slip into the keyhole like a whisper, each tumbler yielding with a soft click that only he can hear. In under 5 seconds, the mechanism turns. Silent, clean, no trace left behind. The smell hits first: old wood, pipe smoke, and the faint tang of ink. Lantern light from outside filters through a single narrow window, casting long bars of shadow across. A heavy oak desk, its surface cluttered with ledgers, quills, and a mostly empty bottle of whiskey. A steel safe in the corner, small but sturdy, bolted to the floor with a brass dial lock. A crooked portrait of a stern looking man in a red scarf. Harrier leader, perhaps, hanging over the desk. Scattered papers on the floor near the safe, as if someone searched for something in a hurry. The Azure Ledger is almost certainly in that safe. Do you want Simon to 1. Try to crack the safe quietly, dexterity check with thieves' tools, 2. Search the desk and room first for clues or a combination, 3. Force the safe open, strength check, noisy.
Simon will search the desk and room for clues to the combination.
Simon moves methodically, letting his eyes sweep the dim corners before touching anything. Searching the desk. You pull open drawers and shuffle through loose papers. Ledger scraps with coded transactions. Nothing useful for a combination. A small tin of pipe tobacco and a flint. An envelope addressed to R. Vex with a scrawled note. Open quote, Changed the safe to 3128 after the dock job. Don't forget again. Close quote. Scanning the room. Behind the crooked portrait, nothing but bare wall. Under the desk, a worn carpet, no trapdoors or hidden compartments. On the whiskey bottle's label, a greasy fingerprint smudge that matches the note's handwriting style. Looks like you've found the safe combination. 3 to 12 8. Do you want Simon to 1. Use the combination to open the safe silently, 2. Pocket the note and still try cracking the safe manually in case it's a decoy, 3. Leave it untouched and continue searching the office?
I will check for traps on the safe before entering the combination 3, 12, 8.
Simon crouches beside the steel safe, running a careful hand along the edges of the dial and the seams where the door meets the frame. Trap check. Investigation. With practiced precision, you examine the hinges and bolts for hidden springs or weighted triggers. Feel under the lip for tripwire tension. Tap lightly with a tool, listening for hollow spots that might conceal glass vials or small explosive charges. Result: no wires, no poison needles, no audible mechanisms beyond the normal clicks of the dial. The safe is clean. Looks like the Harriers rely on the lock's sturdiness and the fact it's bolted down to keep it secure. The way is clear to enter 3128. Do you want Simon to open it now or do something else first?
Open it now.
Simon turns the brass dial with slow, precise movements. 3 to the right, 12 to the left, 8 to the right again. A muted clunk echoes in the steel, and the safe's handle turns smoothly under his hand. Inside the safe, nestled in a stack of neatly wrapped oilskin bundles, sits a dark blue leather ledger, its cover embossed with a silver wave motif, the azure ledger. Beneath it, you also spot a small velvet pouch that jingles faintly, coins or gems. A rolled parchment sealed with crimson wax, stamped with the Harrier's skull and cross knives insignia. A glass vial of dark, viscous liquid, no label. Do you want Simon to 1. Take only the Azure Ledger and leave the rest? 2. Take everything in the safe? 3. Examine the extra items before deciding?
Examine the extra items before gathering all the items in the safe.
Simon crouches by the open safe, lantern light glinting off the steel, and takes a closer look at each extra item. Velvet pouch, inside 22 gold coins, 15 silver coins, and a small square cut emerald the size of a thumbnail. No unusual markings, no signs of enchantment, just valuable. Sealed parchment. The crimson wax seal bears the Harrier's insignia. Holding it to the light, you can make out faint, shadowy shapes of maps and names inside, likely orders or contracts. Breaking the seal will be obvious to whoever it was meant for, but could yield useful intel. Glass vial. Thick, syrupy liquid the color of old blood. Swirling it slowly releases a faint, acrid, medicinal smell with a metallic tang. Without an arcana or medicine check, it's hard to know if this is poison, an alchemical concoction, or something magical. Do you want Simon to 1. Do an arcana check on the vial, 2. Do a medicine check on the vial, 3. Pocket everything without further inspection, 4. Only take the ledger and leave the rest?
Do an arcana check on the vial.
Simon tilts the vial under the dim light, letting the thick liquid cling to the glass as he focuses on its aura and residue. Arcana check result. The faint shimmer at the surface isn't natural, it's alchemically enhanced venom. Specifically, a slow acting paralytic favored by assassins and debt collectors who want their target conscious but unable to resist. Effects: on ingestion or injury via coated blade, the target makes a DC 15 Constitution saving throw. On failure, progressive paralysis over 1 minute, lasting 10 minutes. On success, slowed movement for 1 minute. You now know this vial is dangerous, but extremely valuable to the right buyer, or useful in the right fight. Do you want Simon to take all items in the safe now, or leave anything behind?
Simon will take everything from the safe.
Simon swiftly but carefully gathers everything from the safe. Azure Ledger, the primary target, dark blue leather with a silver wave motif. Velvet pouch, 22 GP, 15 SP, and a square cut emerald. Sealed parchment, Harrier's insignia intact. Glass vial, slow acting paralytic poison. He stows the ledger and parchment flat in his pack to avoid damage, slips the pouch into an inner pocket, and wraps the vial in a strip of cloth to muffle any clinking. The situation. Now, the office is still quiet, but the muffled sounds from below suggest the Harriers are finishing whatever work they were doing. You catch a faint scrape of chairs. Maybe someone's about to come upstairs. Do you want Simon to 1. Exit the way he came through the loft window? 2. Slip down to the main floor and try to blend in, escape another way? 3. Set a trap in the office before leaving? 4. Hide and wait to see who comes in?
I will exit the loft window that I came in from.
Simon eases the safe shut, leaves the office door just as he found it, and pads silently back across the loft. The murmurs and chair scrapes downstairs grow sharper. Someone's definitely moving toward the stairs. With practiced speed, he slips through the same narrow window he entered, careful not to let the warped frame groan under his weight. The night air is cool and damp as he pulls himself back onto the stacked crates and down to the cobblestones below. Outside, the 2 side door Harriers are still drinking and joking, oblivious to the theft that just occurred above their heads. The lone east side guard is gone, probably back inside. The docks are quiet except for the slap of water against pilings. From here, Simon can 1. Head straight to the Blades for Hire contact to deliver the ledger. 2. Take a detour to check the sealed parchment's contents before handing it over. 3. Lay low somewhere in the dock district to watch for Harrier reaction. Which way do you want to go?
I want to lay low in the dock district while checking the contents of the sealed parchment. Before I do that, though, Azure Ledger. Azure Ledger. $22 gold pieces, 15 silver pieces, Emerald. Sealed parchment. Glass vial. Paralytic. Poison. Okay. I want to lay low on the Dark District while checking the contents of the sealed parchment.
Simon melts into the labyrinth of alleys between leaning warehouses, finally settling behind a stack of broken lobster traps under the shadow of a half collapsed pier. The faint lantern glow from the main street doesn't reach here, only the shifting light of the harbor beyond. Breaking the seal. With a thin blade, you lift the edge of the crimson wax just enough to break it cleanly, careful not to tear the parchment more than necessary, contents of the Harrier orders. The parchment unrolls to reveal a hand drawn map of the city's southern district, marked with 3 dockside warehouses circled in red, yours included, 2 taverns marked with an X, a dotted route leading from the docks to a noble estate in the hills labeled Varenhold. Beside the map are written orders. Open quote, all shipments to be secured within 3 nights. No survivors at the taverns, burn them after collection. Ledger must be in Varenhold before the week's end. Payment on delivery. Close quote. At the bottom, the signature, Arvex, the same name from the desk note. This is damning evidence. The Harriers aren't just running small dockside thefts, they're planning coordinated raids with lethal intent. Whoever Vex is, they have ties to someone at the Varenhold estate. Do you want Simon to 1. Keep the parchment hidden and deliver only the ledger? 2. Give both to the Blades for Hire, letting them see the bigger picture? 3. Alter the parchment to hide some information before turning it in?
Give the blades for hire, both the ledger and the parchment.
Simon waits until the dock district quiets a bit, then slips through the maze of alleys toward the market square. The Blades for Hire contact spot is exactly where you left it, that narrow alcove with the worn table and the 3 cloaked figures. The silver-haired half-elf looks up as you approach, eyebrows lifting at the sight of you. Open quote, back already? Either you're dead lucky, or they were dead slow. Close quote. You set the Azure Ledger on the table, then place the sealed parchment, its broken wax visible. The half-elf's easy smirk vanishes as he scans the map and the orders. He flicks his eyes to the other 2 blades, their expressions darkening. Open quote, Vex, I knew that bastard's name would crawl back to me eventually. He closes the ledger with a snap. This is bigger than we thought. Payment's yours, and a little extra for the trouble. Close quote. He slides a pouch toward you, heavier than you expected. Reward, 150 gram P agreed upon, plus 25 G P bonus for the extra intel. Open quote, we'll handle the Varenhold angle. You should keep your head low for a few nights. If the Harriers connect this to you, they'll come for blood. Close quote. Do you want Simon to 1. Press for more details on Vex and Varenhold? 2. Take the coin and vanish into the city for the night? 3. Offer your services for whatever the Blades plan to do next?
Alright, first off, 175 gold. Okay. I want to know more about Vex and Barinhold.
The half elf leans back in his chair, eyes narrowing like he's weighing how much to give you. He takes a slow pull from a dented pewter flask before speaking. Open quote. Vex. Real name's Roderick Vexley. Used to be a mid tier enforcer in the dock gangs. Smart enough to know when to keep his hands clean, mean enough to make others dirty 'em for him. About 5 years back, he vanished. Rumor was he got himself a patron in the hills and decided to play at being a gentleman. Close quote. He taps the map with a finger over the mark for Varenhold. Open quote. That's the noble estate he bought into, or married into, depending on which tavern tale you believe. Old money, stone walls, guards on the payroll, and now it looks like he's using the Harriers as his private collectors and cleaners. If the orders on that parchment are real, Vex is planning something big. No survivors big. That's not street gang work, that's warlord work. Close quote. One of the other blades mutters, open quote, or he's prepping the district for someone else to move in. Close quote. The half elf shrugs. Open quote. Either way, poking that hornet's nest could get you stung bad. But, he smirks, if you wanted to get involved, there's always more coin in dangerous work. Close quote. Do you want Simon to? 1. Volunteer to go after Vex or his operations directly. 2. Ask for a reconnaissance job to learn more without committing to a fight. 3. Decline for now and lay low.
I will ask for a reconnaissance job before committing.
The half elf nods slowly, a small smile tugging at the corner of his mouth. Open quote. Smart. I like that. Don't go kicking down doors until you know what's on the other side. Close quote. He reaches under the table and slides a thin, oilskin wrapped packet toward you. Inside is a rough sketch of Varenhold. High stone walls, a central manor, stables, and a separate carriage house. There's also a few handwritten notes. Servant's gate on the east wall, sometimes unguarded late at night. Delivery wagons arrive every third morning before dawn. Upper balcony off the study, visible from the forested slope to the west. Rumored underground cellar, possibly a smuggling tunnel entrance. Open quote. Get eyes on the estate. Confirm guard numbers, patrols, and any openings we can use later. No heroics, no engaging. You see Vex himself, you turn and walk the other way. Close quote. He slides a small clay token across the table. Open quote. That's for when you're done. Bring it to any blade contact in the city, and we'll find you. Close quote. Do you want Simon to 1. Head to Varenhold immediately under cover of night. 2. Rest first and approach the recon job at dawn. 3. Gather extra supplies before setting out.
Simon would like to try to buy 2 invisibility potions before heading to Barenhold tonight.
The half elf raises an eyebrow at your request but doesn't argue. Open quote. You want to ghost through a noble's estate? Can't blame you. Close quote. He scribbles something on a scrap of parchment and hands it over. Open quote. Try the gilded mortar in the alchemist's row, ask for Master Kell, show him this. He owes us. Close quote. Scene. The Gilded Mortar. You find the shop tucked between a spice dealer and a candlemaker, its front windows crowded with glassware and jars of strange powders. The air inside is warm and sharp with the scent of herbs, solvents, and faintly metallic tangs. A thin man in ink stained robes looks up from a cluttered workbench. His eyes flick to the parchment in your hand, then back to you. Open quote, ah, friends of the blades, close quote. He pulls two squat glass vials from a locked cabinet, the liquid inside shimmering faintly. Open quote, invisibility draughts. Each lasts about an hour if you don't attack or cast spells. I can part with them for 150 gold each, or 250 for the pair on account of our mutual acquaintances. Close quote. Do you want Simon to 1. Buy both for 250 gold, 2. Buy just one for 150 gold, 3. Try to negotiate the price lower, 4. Decline and head to Varenhold without them?
Buy both for 250.
Simon counts out 250 gold pieces, the clink of coin loud in the warm, herb scented shop. Master Kell sweeps them into a drawer with practiced speed, then slides the two shimmering vials across the counter, each stoppered tight and sealed with green wax. Open quote. Handle them gently. They'll keep a solid hour of invisibility so long as you don't attack or cast. Break the rules and poof, you're visible again. Close quote. He wraps them in padded cloth and hands you a small leather pouch to keep them safe. Inventory update. Tuum's Potion of Invisibility. Duration 1 hour, ends early if you attack or cast a spell. 250 GP spent, your coin total drops accordingly. It's still full dark outside, the city's lamps flickering in the salt-heavy breeze. Perfect cover for a recon run to Varenhold. Do you want Simon to 1. Head directly to Varenhold now, aiming to approach unseen? 2. Make one more stop in the city for gear or info before leaving?
Potion of invisibility. Okay. I will head directly to Baron Hold using my stealth to hide my approach.
Hash scene. The road to Varenhold. Simon slips out of the city's southern gate under cover of night, the lamps of the dock district shrinking behind him. The road curves through low, fog-wrapped hills, moonlight breaking through in silver streaks. Crickets sing in the grass, and the distant bay wind carries the smell of salt and pine. After about an hour, the road bends toward a rise, and Varenhold comes into view. High stone walls, 15 feet tall, crowned with iron spikes, lanterns at the main gate and along the walls every 30 feet. A central manor house with a steep roof and 2 chimneys. A smaller carriage house near the stables. The faint glow of lamps in the upper balcony of what must be the study. approach stealth roll. Let's see how well Simon avoids the notice of wall sentries and hound patrols. What did you roll for your stealth check on approach? Once I know, we'll determine. If the guards spot anything unusual, whether you reach the east side servants' gate without incident. If you overhear anything useful on the way.
Stealth roll 26. Rolled a natural 24 by stealth check for a total of 26. 26.
With that natural 2026 total, Simon might as well be part of the night itself. The approach. You ghost through the tall grass and low brambles along the estate's outer slope, the fog rising just enough to veil you from the wall lanterns. The sentries' eyes scan right past you, their gazes snagging on nothing more than drifting mist. Even the pair of hounds patrolling the outer perimeter pause, sniff the air uncertainly, then move on, fooled by the wind. Hash position at the servants' gate. You reach the east side gate, a plain wooden door reinforced with crossbars, set into the wall with no visible guard. The faint smell of bread and wood smoke drifts from somewhere beyond. From here, your vantage also lets you see a pair of guards walking the south wall, one carrying a crossbow, the other a lantern. A dim light flickering in a small cellar window about 10 feet inside the gate. Faint voices from within the estate grounds, too far away to make out clearly. Do you want Simon to 1. Slip inside the servants' gate now. 2. Stay outside and circle to observe other angles of the manor. 3. Eavesdrop closer to catch those faint voices before moving. 4. Climb to get a better look from the top of the wall.
I will circle around to see what else I can see at the manor.
Circling Varenhold. Hugging the tree line and using the wall's shadows, Simon begins a slow, deliberate circuit of the estate. The natural 20 stealth holds. You're a wraith in the night, silent and unseen. North wall. The land slopes down toward a narrow stream. There's a small stone outbuilding just inside the wall. Could be a well house or guard station. No active guards visible here, but you spot a single hound chained near the outbuilding. Its chain doesn't quite reach the wall. West wall. The ground here rises into a forested slope, giving you a partial view of the manor's upper balcony. The balcony doors are closed, but a warm glow leaks from the cracks. Someone is inside the study. From this slope, you also see the carriage house and stables below. A groom is quietly bedding the horses for the night. South wall. This is the main gate. Heavy iron-bound doors, 2 sentries posted. A lantern-lit guard post just inside the gate has 2 more figures playing cards. You catch faint snatches of their conversation. Shipment from the docks before the week's end. Circling complete, you've identified 3 possible stealth entry points. Servants' Gate east, forest slope to balcony west, or the hound guarded north wall. Guard numbers and rotation patterns at the main gate. Activity in the study balcony late at night. Do you want Simon to 1. Pick one of these entry points and slip inside now. 2. Return to the Blades for Hire with this recon. 3. Stake out the balcony from the forest slope to see who's inside.
Stake out the balcony from the slope to see inside.
Hash stakeout, the balcony. Simon eases into position on the forested slope, lying low among the ferns and undergrowth where the shadows pool thickest. The night air is damp here, carrying faint scents of pine and wood smoke from the manor's chimneys. Through the foliage, you have a clear angled view of the upper balcony. Closed double doors of dark wood, their glass panes glowing from lamplight within. A steady silhouette occasionally crosses the glass, tall, broad shouldered, moving with measured confidence. A second, smaller shadow moves in the background, perhaps a servant or guard. Observation. With patience, you catch a few details. The larger figure wears a deep red coat with gold trim, and at one point, the balcony doors crack open just enough for him to step out briefly, smoking a pipe. His features are sharp, hawk like, with silver streaks in his hair. He leans on the balcony rail, scanning the grounds with the ease of someone in command. Even from this distance, you're certain this matches the description of Roderick Vex from the Blade's intel. The smaller figure remains inside, likely a secretary or aide, busy at the desk. You can see through the doors. Vex finishes his pipe, flicks the embers into the dark, and goes back inside. The doors close, but the light in the study remains. Do you want Simon to 1. Continue observing the study for more details? 2. Slip away and return with this intel to the Blades for hire? 3. Attempt to get closer to the balcony for a better look or possible entry?
Attempt to get a closer look at the balcony.
Simon waits for the faint crunch of the groom's boots fading from the stables below, then begins the climb up the forest slope toward the manor's west wall. The undergrowth muffles his steps, and your earlier natural 20 stealth keeps you invisible to the occasional lantern sweep from the main gate. The wall here rises 15 feet, but the slope brings you close enough that an easy climb to the balcony's edge is possible, though the stonework is worn and could crumble if handled carelessly. What you see as you get closer. From this range, you can make out the faint scrape of a quill from inside the study. Papers stacked high on the desk, some rolled maps leaning in a corner. A tall cabinet against one wall, its doors carved with a swirling knot pattern. It seems to have a lock. The smaller figure, the aide, is hunched over the desk, writing furiously while Vex leans in, pointing at something on a page. You're now at the wall directly below the balcony. To climb up silently, you'll need athletics or acrobatics check to make the climb, stealth check to avoid noise or knocking loose stones. What are Simon's rolls?
Acrobatics or athletics? Athletics. Athletics was 19 and stealth was 14.
With the athletics 19, Simon ascends the weathered stone like a shadow-born spider, fingers and boots finding every secure hold. The climb is smooth, deliberate, and quiet, almost. The stealth 14 means you make it to the balcony without any catastrophic noise, but one loose pebble does tumble free during the climb. It hits the slope below with a faint tick. Inside, Vex's head turns slightly toward the balcony doors, but he doesn't move to investigate. Instead, he resumes pointing something out on the aide's parchment. Balcony position. You are now crouched in the corner of the west balcony, pressed against the rail's shadow. From here, you can see the desk more clearly: maps, ledger books, and an open letter with a red seal. Smell the faint aroma of Vex's pipe tobacco still lingering in the night air. Note that the balcony doors are unlocked and open just a hair from his earlier smoke break. Do you want Simon to 1. Slip inside now to see the desk up close, 2. Stay hidden and eavesdrop on their conversation, 3. Retreat with this close range intel before risking entry?
I will stay hidden and eavesdrop on their conversation.
Simon stays low in the balcony's corner, letting the shadows swallow him. The cool night air carries the murmur of voices from inside, muffled at first, then clearer as the aide shifts closer to the balcony doors. Open quote, the dockside shipments are on schedule. The Harriers have the ledger. By week's end, it will all be in place. Open quote, and the taverns? Close quote. Open quote, burn them. No survivors. We cannot afford witnesses. Close quote. There's the sound of a quill scratching, then the aide asks quieter. Open quote. And the noble council? Will they approve the... Close quote. Vex cuts him off sharply. Open quote. The council will do as they're told. My patron sees to that. You need not trouble yourself with their motivations. Close quote. Papers shuffle and Vex lowers his voice. You catch only fragments. Open quote. Cellar entrance. Under the carriage house. Safe until signal. Close quote. The aide nods, and you hear the letter seal being pressed closed with wax. You've just confirmed. The Azure Ledger was indeed part of a larger operation, and they don't know it's gone yet. 2 taverns are marked for destruction. There's a cellar entrance under the carriage house connected to the operation. Vex has a powerful patron influencing the noble council. Do you want Simon to 1. Slip away quietly with this intel, 2. Stay longer to see if they reveal more, 3. Attempt a stealthy entry now to investigate the desk and maps?
I will slip away quietly with the intel I've gathered.
Simon waits for the sound of the wax seal to cool and the faint scrape of Vex's chair pulling back, then begins his retreat. With deliberate care, he lowers himself from the balcony onto the forest slope, retracing his climb without so much as a clink of gear. The estate's lanterns keep their steady rhythm. The hounds remain silent, and the guards are none the wiser that a pair of sharp eyes just crawled all over their west wall. The return? The city gates are quieter now, the night's traffic reduced to the occasional wagon. You slip back through the alleys to the Blades for Hire's alcove. The silver-haired half-elf is still there, leaning on the table with a cup of something strong. When you relay what you overheard and the layout of the estate, his eyes sharpen. Open quote. Cellar under the carriage house and a noble council that's bought and paid for. That's enough to plan the next move. Close quote. He tosses you another small pouch of gold. Reward, 50 GP for the recon work, plus your reputation with the Blades improves. Open quote. Rest while you can, Simon. The next step won't be recon, it'll be blood. Close quote. Do you want Simon's next job with the Blades to be 1. Infiltrating the carriage house to investigate the cellar entrance, 2. Ambushing the Harriers before they can burn the taverns, 3. Tracking down Vex's patron through the noble council?
Simon will ask if there's anyone who can help him infiltrate the carriage house. And 50 gold.
The half elf smirks like he's been waiting for you to ask that. Open quote, infiltration's best done with the right hands. We've got two you might call on, but neither's cheap, and both have their quirks. Close quote. He leans in, lowering his voice. For one, Kira, Whisper Thane, human, rogue, master of locks and shadows. Former cat burglar turned blade contractor. Specializes in getting in and out without a sound. Will want 25 GP up front and a cut of any valuables found inside. Not a fighter. If steel comes out, she vanishes. 2. Durn the Quiet, half orc infiltration muscle. Can move silently despite his size and will carry his weight in a fight. Former smuggler who knows how to stash goods in plain sight. Wants 40G up front and any weapon you can spare as payment. Not subtle in conversations, tends to speak with his fists. The half elf sips his drink. Open quote, either one could get you into that carriage house, or you could go alone if you're feeling bold and keep all the loot for yourself. Close quote. Do you want Simon to 1. Hire Kira Whisper Thane, 2. Hire Durn the Quiet, 3. Go alone?
Hire Dern the Quiet. 40 gold up front and a weapon.
The half elf nods, clearly approving of your choice. Open quote, Durn's not subtle with people, but when it comes to doors and dark corners, you won't hear him coming. You'll meet him at the south gate an hour past moonrise. Bring the gold and that extra weapon he wants. Close quote. He counts out a few coins from his own purse and slides them toward you. Open quote, that's for the hire. Consider it an investment. You'll pay him directly. Close quote. Close quote. Durn the Quiet, profile when you meet him, Durn is exactly as advertised. Half orc, nearly 7 feet tall, shoulders like a smith's anvil. Dark leather armor broken in from years of wear, every strap tied down to prevent noise. Moves with surprising fluidity for his size. Speaks little, and when he does, it's low and deliberate. When you hand over the 40 GP and a spare dagger from your kit, he nods once. Open quote, I'll get you in. If we run into trouble, I'll get you out. Alive. Close quote. From here, you and Dern can 1. Head to Varenhold's carriage house tonight for the infiltration. 2. Spend some time prepping with maps, gear, or poisons before the break-in. Which way should Simon proceed?
Simon will pick up a couple vials of poison for the mission.
Before heading out with Dern, Simon makes a quick detour to Alchemist's Row under the cover of night. The gilded mortar is still dimly lit. Master Kel apparently keeps late hours for the right customers. When you step inside, Kel raises an eyebrow. Open quote. Back again so soon? Either the potions worked perfectly or you're about to do something even more reckless. Close quote. You tell him you need poisons, and he pulls out a small lacquered case with padded slots, each holding a vial of viscous liquid. Available poisons. 1. Basic injury poison, 100 gram P per vial, applied to a weapon, Next hit forces target to make a DC 13 Constitution save or take 1d4 poison damage and be poisoned until the end of their next turn. 2. Serpent Venom, 200 ground P per vial, injury poison. DC 11 Constitution save or take 3d6 poison damage on a failed save, half on success. 3. Drow Poison, 300 ground P per vial, injury poison. DC 13 Constitution save or be poisoned and unconscious for 1 hour on a failed save. Target wakes if damaged or slapped. Illegal in most cities. Kel grins faintly. Open quote. For you, no questions asked, but remember, each dose is a one-time use, close quote. Do you want Simon to buy 1. A couple vials of basic injury pre-poison, 200 gram P total. 2. Serpent venom vials, 400 gram P for 2. 3. Drow poison vials, 600 gram P for 2. 4. A mix of different types.
Simon will purchase 2 vials of drow poison. So that's 600.
Master Kel's eyes glint when you ask for drow poison. He doesn't reach for it right away. Instead, he locks the shop door, flips the sign to closed, and only then retrieves a slim black case from a high shelf. Open quote. You understand, he murmurs. If the guard finds this on you, it's the hangman's rope. Close quote. Inside the case are 2 crystal vials, each filled with a faintly luminescent liquid that swirls like smoke trapped underwater. He packs them into a padded leather pouch and slides it across the counter. Inventory update. 2 times drow poison vials. Injury poison. DC 13 Constitution save or poisoned and unconscious for 1 hour on failure. Wakes if damage slapped. 600 gree piece spent. Kel unlocks the door again and gives you a final nod. Open quote. Handle it with care and don't breathe it in. Close quote. Dern is waiting for you at the south gate, leaning against the stone wall, his massive frame barely moving except for the slow roll of his shoulders. Open quote. Ready? He asks in his low, gravelly voice. Close quote. Do you want Simon and Dern to head straight to the carriage house now, or approach Varenhold from a different angle first?
I want us both to head straight to the carriage house now.
Scene: the carriage house at Varenhold. The moon hangs high, throwing silver across the misty slopes as you and Dern the Quiet make your way through the forested west side of the estate. Your earlier recon serves you well. The patrols haven't changed their rhythm, and the forest slope still offers a shadowed approach. Dern moves with surprising grace for a man his size, every step calculated, his breathing controlled. When you reach the point where the trees thin and the carriage house roof comes into view, he stops, studying it with a hunter's patience. What you see: 2-stall carriage house with an attached tack room. Cellar doors half hidden under a lean-to on the far side, exactly where you overheard Vex say the entrance would be. 1 guard leaning against the wall near the main door, idly picking his teeth with a dagger. Light spills faintly from a single window, Sounds of horses shifting inside. Dern's whisper. Open quote. One man outside. If we take him quiet, we've got the run of the place. Or we slip by if you've got the skill for it. Close quote. Do you want Simon and Dern to 1. Silently eliminate the guard, 2. Slip past the guard without engaging, 3. Use a distraction to draw him away, 4. Dose a weapon with drow poison and take him down in one hit?
Simon uses the throw poison to coat one of his scimitars. He then goes to silently take out the guard.
Simon unstoppers one of the drow poison vials, the faintly glowing liquid swirling like moonlight trapped in water. With care, he coats the edge of his scimitar, the steel taking on a subtle oily sheen. The air smells faintly of something floral and wrong, a scent that makes the back of your throat itch. Dern crouches low behind a stack of hay bales, watching your approach with that still predator's patience. Stealth and attack roll for. Stealth, to get into striking range without the guard noticing. Attack, to land that poison strike before you can react. If the attack lands, the guard must make a DC 13 Constitution save or fall unconscious for an hour. What are your rolls?
My stealth roll is a 18, and the attack roll is a 25.
With a stealth 18, Simon flows through the shadows like liquid night, each step muffled by the damp grass. The guard is too busy digging at his teeth with that dagger to notice the death approaching. The attack roll of 25 is overkill. The scimitar slides between the plates of his leather jerkin before he even draws a breath to shout. The poisoned edge bites clean, and he staggers back with a muffled grunt. His eyes widen, muscles seizing for a heartbeat before the drow poison takes hold. He sways once, twice, then collapses into your arms, utterly limp and breathing slow. You lower him silently to the ground, his dagger still clutched in his fingers. Status: Guard is unconscious for 1 hour unless woken by damage or jostling. No alarm has been raised. Dern steps up beside you, glancing toward the cellar doors. Open quote, ways clear. Your lead. Close quote. Do you want Simon and Dern to 1. Head straight for the cellar doors and try to get inside. 2. Quickly search the guard for keys or useful items. 3. Peek inside the carriage house before going underground.
Simon will search the guard for keys or other useful items.
You kneel beside the unconscious guard, keeping one eye on the carriage house while you work through his gear. His pockets and belt yield a few useful finds. Loot from the guard. Iron key ring with 3 keys. 1 large, likely for the cellar doors, and 2 smaller, possibly for interior locks or storage chests. 5 GP in a small leather pouch. Tinderbox with half burned matches. Folded scrap of parchment with a crude sketch of the estate's south wall patrol routes. Useful if you ever need to approach from that side. Dagger, standard, unremarkable, but sharp. Dern grunts approvingly when you pocket the keys. Open quote. No sense in breaking what you can open quiet. Close quote. Do you want Simon and Dern to 1. Go directly to the cellar doors and use the key to open them? 2. Check the carriage house interior before heading underground. 3. Hide the unconscious guard to buy more time before discovery.
All right. Inventory. Iron key ring. Three keys on the ring. 5 gold pieces. Tinderbox, folded scrap of parchment with a crude sketch of the South Estates wall patrol routes. Simon will remove the dagger from the guard, and then with Dern's help, they will hide the unconscious guard.
You pull the dagger from the guard's hand, sliding it silently into your own belt. Dern stoops without a word, lifting the unconscious man like he's nothing more than a sack of grain. The two of you move to the far side of the carriage house where the shadows pool thickest, out of sight of any windows or patrol routes. There's a stack of old hay bales and broken crates tucked under a lean-to. You wedge the guard between them, covering him with a torn canvas tarp. Dern dusts his hands off. Open quote. He won't be found unless someone's looking hard, and by then we'll be gone. Close quote. Status update. Guard is hidden. Dagger acquired. Alarm status unraised. The cellar doors are now completely unguarded, and the moonlight glints off the largest key on your new ring. Do you want Simon and Dern to 1. Unlock the cellar doors now and head inside? 2. Check the carriage house interior for clues or supplies before going underground?
Simon and Dern will quickly but quietly check the carriage house.
Quick sweep. Carriage house interior. You and Dern slip to the main door, one of the smaller keys fitting the lock with a soft click. The hinges groan faintly, but the smell of hay, horse sweat, and oiled leather washes over you, masking the sound. Inside, 2 fine carriages occupy the stalls, one black lacquered with gold trim, the other plain but sturdy. A tack room to the right, lined with bridles, saddles, and a locked chest in the corner. 2 horses shift and snort quietly, their eyes catching the dim lantern light. They watch you but stay calm. Footprints in the dust lead from the tack room toward the cellar doors outside, suggesting regular use of the underground route. Quick search result. Under a carriage seat, A hidden compartment with a velvet pouch containing 12 platinum pieces and a signet ring with a hawk emblem, likely Vex's crest. Tack room shelves. Small tools, bits of rope, and a half empty flask of strong brandy. Locked chest. Could contain valuables or supplies, but forcing it might make noise unless you try picking the lock. Do you want Simon to 1. Pick the lock on the tack room chest now? 2. Leave the chest and head straight for the cellar doors? 3. Mark the chest for later retrieval and move on quietly.
12 platinum pieces. Signet ring. I picked a glass of strong brandy. Locked chest. Simon will pick the lock of the chest now.
You kneel by the tack room chest, the scent of old leather and oiled wood hanging in the air. The horses shift in their stalls, but Dern positions himself between you and the open door, watching for any sign of movement outside. Lockpicking. The chest's lock is decent, but not masterwork, the kind meant to keep out stable hands, not trained hands like yours. What did Simon roll for his dexterity thieves' tools check? That will determine whether you pop it open quietly or risk making noise that could draw attention.
Dexterity thieves. 14. Simon rolled a 14 to pick the lock.
With a 14, Simon works the picks carefully, feeling each tumbler fall into place. The lock resists for a moment, just enough to make you think it might snap, but then gives with a muted click. You lift the lid slowly to avoid any squeaks from the hinges. Inside the tack room. Chest. 2 rolled maps sealed with plain wax. Quick inspection shows underground tunnel routes beneath the estate, one leading from the cellar to an unmarked exit in the hills. Small lockbox, locked, palm-sized heavy, probably coin or gems. Bundle of black cloth. Unwrapped, it's a hooded cloak lined with deep pockets and stitched with strange silver thread, faintly magical. Pouch of 30 gold coins. Dern raises an eyebrow at the maps. Open quote. That unmarked exit could be our way out if things go bad. Close quote. Do you want Simon to 1. Take everything and deal with the lockbox later? 2. Open the lockbox now to see what's inside? 3. Only take the maps and coins, leaving the rest to avoid carrying too much.
Simon will open the small lockbox.
You set the small lockbox on a tack bench, its weight solid in your hands. The iron clasp is better made than the chest's lock, fine work meant to keep smaller valuables safe. Dern crouches near the door, keeping watch while you work. Lock-picking the lockbox. With practiced precision, you slide the picks into the narrow keyway. Your earlier 14 won't apply here. The mechanism's tighter and more intricate. What did Simon roll for his dexterity? Thieves' tools. Check on the lockbox. If you roll high enough, you'll pop it silently. Fail, and it may make a noise loud enough to risk notice.
I rolled 16 to open the lockbox.
With a 16, Simon works the fine picks through the lockbox's tumblers, feeling each one fall in place with satisfying precision. There's a faint click, and the clasp releases without a sound. Inside the lockbox, assorted gemstones: one sapphire, deep blue, flawless; two small rubies, blood red; three polished onyx stones; folded letter on expensive parchment, no seal. Inside is a single name written in a confident hand. Open quote, E. Malvor. No other markings or context. Close quote. Tiny glass vial of clear liquid, odorless, weightless in your hand. Looks nothing like the drow poison, could be an antidote or an entirely different concoction. Dern glances at the gems and lets out a low whistle. Open quote. That's the kind of haul nobles kill to keep hidden. Close quote. Do you want Simon to 1. Pocket everything and move on to the cellar doors? 2. Test the clear liquid to see what it does before taking it? 3. Only take the maps, gems, and letter, leaving the vial for now.
Simon will pocket everything for now and move on to the cellar doors.
Simon sweeps the lockbox contents into his pack: gemstones, mysterious letter, and the vial, and tucks the rolled tunnel maps into an inside compartment for quick access. The magical cloak is folded neatly and strapped to the side of your gear, the 30 gold coins vanishing into your belt pouch with a quiet jingle. Dern gives the tack room one last glance, then shuts the chest lid and follows you out. The cellar doors outside. The lean-to half hides the cellar entrance. The wooden doors are reinforced with iron bands, the largest key from the guard's ring fitting perfectly into the lock. With a twist and a muted clunk, the bolt slides free. You and Dern ease the doors open, the smell of cold stone and faint mildew rising up from the dark below. The top of a narrow staircase disappears into blackness. Faint sounds drift upward, distant, muffled, and hard to place. Could be voices. Could be something else moving in the tunnels. Do you want Simon and Dern to 1. Descend immediately into the cellar; 2. Pause to listen more carefully before entering; 3. Use one of your invisibility potions before going down?
Okay, so one sapphire, sapphire, 2 small rubies, 3 polished onyx stones, Okay. Now I got that vial of poison. Tiny glass vial of clear liquid. Tiny glass vial filled with liquid. Found in the chest in the carriage house. Okay. We will pause and listen to make out what we can.
You hold up a hand to Dern, signaling for silence. Both of you lean slightly over the open cellar doors, letting the night fade from your ears so the sounds from below can sharpen. Perception, check. The cold air rising from the cellar smells faintly of damp stone, old earth, and something metallic. Blood, maybe, though faint. You focus on the noises. They separate into 2 distinct threads. One, muffled male voices, calm but low, like a conversation meant to be private. The occasional chuckle echoes faintly, suggesting whoever's down there doesn't feel in immediate danger. 2, a slow scraping sound at irregular intervals, metal against stone, deliberate but unhurried. It's not close to the voices, almost like it's coming from farther down a tunnel. You can't make out the words clearly without getting closer, but you count at least 2 people talking. No signs of alarm. Dern's whisper is like gravel on leather. Open quote. We can creep close, find out more before they know we're here. Or we hit fast and take control of the space. Close quote. Do you want Simon and Dern to 1. Descend quietly to eavesdrop and scout the cellar, 2. Drink an invisibility potion before heading down, 3. Go in fast to surprise whoever's there?
I want Simon and Dern to eavesdrop and scout the cellar stealthily.
You nod to Dern, and together you start down the narrow stone steps, your boots finding the edges to avoid loose grit that might crunch. The air grows cooler, heavier, the faint lamplight from above dying quickly into deep shadow. Stealth approach. Your earlier movements have kept the alarm down, but the cellar is tight and echo prone. Simon's stealth check will determine how close you can get before risking notice. Dern will roll separately, but his training with the blades for hire means he's naturally quieter than most half orcs. Halfway down, you see the cellar open into a larger chamber lit by a single hooded lantern on a table. Two men in plain work clothes are seated there, playing cards, their weapons leaning against the wall behind them. From another passage off to the right, the metal on stone scraping continues, slow and methodical. You catch snippets of the card players' conversation. Open quote: Vex says the shipment's not ready until the patron signs off. We wait here till the signal. And then what? Then we move the goods through the tunnel and seal it behind us. Easy coin. Close quote. Do you want Simon and Dern to 1. Get closer to try and hear more about the patron and the signal? 2. Slip toward the scraping sound instead, avoiding the card players for now? 3. Take out the card players silently before exploring further. What did Simon roll for his stealth check here? That will decide how bold you can be without being noticed.
Stealth check. 14. Simon rolled a 14 for his stealth check. He wants him and Dern to move closer to hear more about the patron and the signal.
With a stealth 14, Simon and Dern make it about halfway across the cellar floor, keeping to the shadows cast by stacked crates and barrels. The card players are too deep in their game to notice the faint shuffle of your boots, but one of them does glance toward the tunnel briefly before leaning back over his cards. You're now within 10 feet, close enough to hear the low conversation without straining. Eavesdropped details. Open quote: Guard 1. Patron doesn't like delays, but Vex says it's worth it. Some noble business, council vote or something. Guard 2. Yeah, but sealing the tunnel? Why bother? Guard 1. Keeps things quiet. Patron's using it one last time to move something big from the docks straight to the estate. We get the signal, we move the shipment, we close it forever. No one finds it again. Close quote. They both laugh quietly, one muttering something about easy money for easy work, one before tossing down a winning hand. Dern leans close and murmurs, open quote, we know where the tunnel is and that it's about to be sealed for good. Question is, we follow the sound of that scraping now or deal with these two first? Close quote. Do you want Simon and Dern to 1. Follow the scraping sound to see what's being worked on? 2. Take out the card players silently before they can give any alarm? 3. Fall back and plan for intercepting the shipment when the signal comes?
We want to follow the scraping sound to see what's going on with that.
You and Dern ease past the edge of the lantern's light, hugging the crates until the card players fade from view. The faint scrape grows louder as you move down the side passage, the air taking on a damper, more metallic tang. The source of the sound. The narrow tunnel opens into a rough-hewn chamber lit only by the dim glow of a single tallow candle. A hunched figure in a leather apron works at the far wall with a heavy chisel and hammer, carving deep grooves into the stone. At his feet is a pile of mortar dust and loose bricks, and behind him, the outline of a concealed stone doorway is beginning to take shape. Leaning against the wall nearby is a crowbar, coil of rope, and a sealed crate stamped with the same hawk emblem you found on Vex's signet ring. The man hasn't noticed you yet. Dern's eyes flick to you, waiting for the signal. Do you want Simon and Dern to 1. Watch quietly to see if the man reveals what's behind the hidden door. 2. Sneak up and take him down silently. 3. Retreat and observe from the shadows in case someone else arrives. 4. Approach openly, pretending to be part of the operation.
Simon and Dern will sneak up quietly and take. No, we retreat and observe from the shadows what's hidden behind the door.
You give Dern the smallest of hand signals, and both of you ease back into a wedge of darkness along the tunnel wall. From here, the candle's glow is just enough to keep the figure in view while keeping you hidden. The man works steadily, occasionally stopping to wipe mortar dust from his brow. Finally, after several long minutes of scrape and pry, there's a muffled grind as the last stone block shifts free. He sets down his chisel, reaches for the crowbar, and levers the false wall open on hidden hinges. The doorway swings inward with a whisper of grit, revealing a low, narrow passage lined with timber supports. Beyond the faint gloom, you catch the outline of stacked wooden crates and canvas wrapped bundles. The worker mutters to himself, open quote, "Patron's gonna want these ready soon." Close quote. He steps inside and begins checking the bundles one by one. You hear the faint jingle of metal and the dull clunk of something heavy being set down. From here, you could 1. Slip into the hidden passage while he's distracted. 2. Ambush him silently in the doorway. 3. Continue watching to see what he pulls from the crates. 4. Fall back to Dern and plan your next move.
Simon and Dern will ambush him silently in the doorway.
The man is bent over one of the bundles, muttering to himself, his back to the door. The perfect moment. You catch Dern's eye, and with a single nod, you both move. The silent takedown, Simon, glides forward with your scimitar drawn, aiming for a quick incapacitation rather than a noisy kill. Dern steps in behind you, massive hand ready to clamp over the man's mouth. Your boots make no more sound than a whisper of dust. By the time the worker senses movement, it's too late. Your blade is at his side, and Dern's arm is around his neck, cutting off any cry. A brief struggle, then the man goes limp in Dern's grip, unconscious but alive. Dern lowers him to the ground without a sound. Now, the hidden passage is open and unguarded. Inside, 4 wooden crates stamped with Vex's hawk crest, 2 canvas bundles tied with hemp rope. The faint glint of metal fittings on something large toward the back, partially covered in tarps. Do you want Simon and Dern to 1. Quickly search the crates and bundles for their contents. 2. Check the large tarp-covered object first. 3. Close the hidden door behind you and secure the unconscious man before searching.
Close the hidden door and secure The unconscious before searching.
You motion for Dern to drag the unconscious worker fully inside the hidden passage. Together, you prop him against the wall, binding his wrists and ankles with rope from the nearby gear pile. Dern adds a gag for good measure. Once he's secured, you swing the false wall shut. It grinds softly back into place, sealing the chamber from the main cellar. The candle's light becomes your only illumination, casting long shadows over the crates and bundles. Dern exhales slowly. Open quote, now we can work without anyone walking in on us. Close quote. The air here is cooler, stale with the smell of timber, canvas, and faintly oil. Do you want Simon and Dern to 1. Open the crates first to see what's being stored here, 2. Inspect the canvas bundles before anything else, 3. Uncover the large tarp covered object at the back of the passage?
Simon will open the crates first to see what's in them.
You kneel by the nearest crate, the hawk crest stamped deep into the wood. A pry bar from the worker's tool pile makes quick work of the nails, and the lid comes free with a muted creak. Contents of the crates. Crate 1. Rows of small, black powder-filled kegs, each with a wax-sealed fuse, blasting powder enough to level parts of the cellar or tunnel. Crate 2. Stacked ingots of refined silver, each stamped with an unfamiliar sigil, likely smuggled or stolen from a mint. Crate 3. Bundles of short steel spears and crossbow bolts tipped with a faint green sheen, likely poisoned. Crate 4. Several strong boxes, locked, and a ledger book with column after column of coded entries. Dern frowns at the hall. Open quote, this isn't just smuggling. This is outfitting for war. Close quote. Do you want Simon and Dern to 1. Check the canvas bundles next, 2. Uncover the tarp-covered object at the back of the passage, 3. Try to open one of the locked strong boxes now?
Check the canvas bundles next.
You move to the 2 canvas bundles, their rough hemp bindings biting into the thick cloth. A careful slice with your dagger opens the first, the smell of salt and damp cloth escaping immediately. Bundle 1. Dozens of gold-trimmed ceremonial armbands, each with the hawk crest. A folded banner, deep crimson with gold thread, bearing the same emblem. Several rolled parchments containing propaganda-style proclamations declaring a new order for the Southern District. Bundle 2. 6 leather-bound ledgers, none in code, listing payments, names, and shipments. These could be evidence tying Vex and his patron to the Harriers. Wrapped in oilcloth at the bottom, a small iron coffer sealed with a heavy lock and a lead tag marked property of E. Malvor. Dern eyes the banner. Open quote, he's not just gearing up, he's planning to rule. And whoever this Malvor is, they're more than a name on a page. Close quote. Do you want Simon and Dern to 1. Uncover the tarp-covered object next, 2. Open the iron coffer now to see what's inside, 3. Gather key evidence and prepare to leave before being discovered?
Uncover the tarp covered object.
You and Dern move to the back of the passage where the large object sits under layers of stiff, oil-stained canvas. The smell of old metal and machine oil intensifies as you pull the tarp back. Revealed under the tarp, a massive iron-bound cage, its bars thick as a man's wrist, door secured with 3 separate locks. Inside, a humanoid figure shackled at the wrists and ankles, skin a mottled gray and marred with ritual scars. Its eyes snap open at the shift of the tarp, glowing faintly yellow in the dim candlelight. The creature doesn't speak, but the low animal growl reverberates in your bones. It's strong, dangerous, and very much alive. Dern tenses, hand going to his weapon. Open quote. That's no common prisoner. What the hell is Vex keeping down here? Close quote. The iron plate bolted to the cage reads, open quote, specimen, hold until signal, close quote. Do you want Simon and Dern to 1. Examine the prisoner more closely to learn what it is? 2. Leave the cage locked and move to open the iron coffer? 3. Consider freeing it to create chaos in the estate?
Simon and Dern will examine the prisoner more closely.
You step closer to the cage, the flicker of the candlelight throwing jagged shadows across the prisoner's face. The air near it feels heavier, as if the darkness itself thickens around the bars. Closer examination. Appearance. Humanoid, but with elongated limbs, claw like nails, and facial features stretched just enough to be unsettling. The mouth too wide, the eyes too large and unblinking. The skin has an almost stone like texture in places. Markings. Ritual scars form angular patterns down its arms and neck, some filled with a black, terry resin that glistens faintly. The sigils are reminiscent of binding runes, meant to control or suppress power. Condition. Malnourished but coiled with latent strength. This thing could move fast and hit hard if unleashed. Behavior. It watches you both in silence, head cocking slightly as if studying you as much as you're studying it. The faint growl subsides, replaced by slow, deliberate breathing. When you step just a hair closer, the prisoner leans forward until its face is inches from the bars. In a voice like grinding stone, it rasps, open quote, "You are not Vex. Will you be my knife?" Close quote. Dern stiffens. Open quote. "I don't like that. At all." Close quote. Do you want Simon and Dern to 1. Speak with it to find out what it is and why it's here? 2. Leave it locked up and focus on the coffer or evidence? 3. Free it now to create chaos, knowing it's dangerous?
Someone asked, "What are you and why are you here?"
The creature's head tilts farther, the yellow glow in its eyes brightening just enough to throw faint reflections on the cage bars. Prisoner. Open quote. I am what he made me. Flesh, claw, and shadow bound together in chains of breath and bone. Vex's patron plucked me from the deep vaults, said I was to be the first knife in his new war. But I bit the hand that forged me, and now they keep me here until the signal comes to ship me to the capital. Close quote. It presses its shackled wrists forward, the rune-scarred skin straining against iron. Open quote. Break these, and I will be your storm. Leave me, and you may yet hear my name screamed from the ramparts. Close quote. Dern mutters under his breath, eyes still locked on the thing. Open quote. He's not bluffing. But if we cut him loose, there's no telling who he'll kill first. Close quote. From what you've seen and heard, this patron may be assembling forces and weapons for something larger than just smuggling. And this creature is meant to be a part of it. Do you want Simon and Dern to 1. Free the prisoner now and risk the chaos? 2. Leave him locked up but take note for later? 3. Strike a bargain. Promise release if he helps you first.
Simon wants to strike a bargain with the creature.
The prisoner leans closer, the glow of its eyes catching the flicker of your candle as you speak. Open quote. I'm not in the business of charity. You help me first, and if you do, you walk free. Close quote. The creature exhales, a low rumble that might be a laugh. Open quote. A bargain then? I will be your shadow and your teeth. I will hunt your enemies until the signal comes. Then you will break my chains, here or anywhere I am taken. Close quote. It glances at the locks on the cage. Open quote. Leave the door closed. The fools who come for me will never know I already serve another. Close quote. Dern frowns. Open quote. So he stays put for now, but works for us if we call. How exactly is he planning to help from in there? Close quote. The prisoner turns its head toward Dern. Open quote. I have ways. Whispers, eyes in the dark. I will watch the tunnel and tell you who comes, what they carry, and where they go. All I need is a name. Close quote. It fixes its gaze on Simon again. Open quote. Give me the first one you want to bleed. Close quote. Do you want Simon to 1. Give the creature a name from your enemies, Vex the patron, a harrier captain, etc. 2. Hold the name back for now, testing its loyalty first. 3. End the bargain before it begins and walk away.
Simon will tell the creature he wants Vex killed. Then he will be released.
The creature's lips pull back into something between a grin and a snarl, teeth long and too sharp for a human mouth. Open quote. Vex. Yes. I know his scent. The stink of arrogance. He will not see me coming. Close quote. It leans forward, the chains rattling softly. Open quote. When the signal comes and they open this cage, I will tear his heart from his chest and lay it at your feet. Then you will break my chains. Close quote. The runes along its arms seem to pulse faintly at the words, as if binding themselves to the pact. Dern mutters under his breath, That's either the smartest or the stupidest thing we've done all night. Close quote. The creature sits back, its gaze fixed unblinking on you as if memorizing every detail. Open quote. Go now. I will listen. When they move, I will know. Close quote. With the deal struck, the cage door is left closed, the tarps ready to be pulled back over to hide your presence. Do you want Simon and Dern to 1. Open the iron coffer marked property of E. Malvor before leaving? 2. Gather key evidence and loot and head for the tunnel exit? 3. Set traps or sabotage in the hidden passage before departing?
Open the iron copper marked property of E. Malvor.
You set the iron coffer on a flat crate. It's cold metal heavier than it looks. The lock is thick, well oiled, and clearly designed to resist both corrosion and tampering. Someone cared about keeping this shut. Dern stands beside you, one hand on his weapon, eyes flicking between the coffer and the tunnel entrance. Open quote. We pop this. We could be looking at something worth more than the rest of this stash combined, or something that'll bite us back. Close quote. Lock-picking attempt. The coffer's mechanism is more intricate than the chest or lockbox you've opened before. A standard roll won't be enough unless you beat a higher difficulty. What did Simon roll for his dexterity check on this lock? If the roll is strong enough, the coffer will open clean. If not, there's a risk of triggering whatever protection Malvor may have placed on it.
So, a dexterity check. $19. Simon rolled a 19 for his dexterity feast tool roll.
With a 19, Simon works the picks in slow, precise motions, feeling for the tiniest catches in the tumblers. The coffer's lock is smooth, almost too smooth, and for a moment you think you might have missed something. Then comes the softest click, and the lid releases. No snap traps, no hidden gas hiss, just the quiet sound of ancient hinges giving way. Contents of the iron coffer. Property of E. Malvor. Black velvet pouch containing 5 jet black coins etched with a swirling sigil that seems to shift when you look at it too long. The metal is cold, unnaturally so. A crystal vial filled with deep crimson liquid that glimmers faintly, even in dim light. It smells faintly of iron and roses. Sealed letter on thick, gray parchment stamped with a wax seal in the shape of an eye surrounded by runes. Folded scrap of faded vellum with a rough map showing Varenhold, the city docks, and a location marked in the hills, the same location indicated on the tunnel maps you found earlier. Dern leans over the coins. Open quote. I don't like the look of those. Not the kind of currency you spend at the market. Close quote. The seal on the letter is intact. Breaking it will reveal whatever message Malvor intended for Vex, or his patron. Do you want Simon to 1. Break the seal and read the letter now. 2. Pocket everything and leave the letter sealed for later. 3. Examine the coins and vial before deciding.
Simon will examine the coins and vial first.
You set the letter aside for now and pull the black velvet pouch closer. The 5 coins spill into your palm with an unnatural weight, heavier than gold but smoother than steel. Examination of the coins. Material. Not any common metal. Closer to obsidian, but metallic, with no visible seams or mint marks. Etching. The swirling sigil carved into each coin seems to shift subtly when you're not staring directly at it, almost like it's writhing under the surface. Effect. The metal is cold enough to make your fingertips ache after a few seconds. You think you can hear a faint, distant whisper when holding more than one at a time. Arcane sense. Without even casting, your instincts scream. These are arcane tokens, likely tied to a summoning or binding ritual. Examination of the crystal vial. Appearance. Blood red liquid with a faint shimmer, as if tiny flecks of light are suspended inside. Scent. Iron and roses. Sweet and metallic. Viscosity. Slightly thicker than water. Likely function. From the way it catches the light and the way the scent clings, you suspect it's a potent elixir or magical draught, possibly tied to blood magic or vitality restoration, but with something more dangerous mixed in. Dern shifts uneasily. Those coins feel wrong. That vial could be worth a fortune, or it could rot your insides from the heart out. Close quote. Do you want Simon to 1. Break the seal and read the letter now. 2. Pocket the items and leave the letter for later. 3. Test the vial on something or someone here.
Pocket all the coins and the vial, leaving the letter alone.
You slip the 5 black coins back into their velvet pouch and tuck it deep into your pack, making sure they don't jostle against anything else. The crimson vial follows, wrapped in a strip of spare cloth before going into a padded side compartment. The sealed letter remains in the iron coffer, untouched. Its wax seal unbroken, the runes around the eye emblem catching the candlelight in a way that feels almost watchful. Dern nods approvingly. Open quote. Better to know more before opening that. Letters like that tend to bite. Close quote. The coffer is now empty aside from the letter. The prisoner in the cage remains silent but alert, tracking your every movement. The crates, bundles, and tunnel maps are still in your possession, and the way back toward the main cellar is quiet, for now. Do you want Simon and Dern to 1. Gather everything else maps, ledgers, propaganda and head for the tunnel exit in the hills? 2. Stay longer to set traps or sabotage the stash before leaving? 3. Return toward the main cellar to see if the card players are still there.
Simon will what's a word for Simon will attempt to sabotage the explosives. They can't be used to blow up the taverns.
You move back to crate 1, where the small kegs of blasting powder are stacked like deadly barrels of ale. The wax sealed fuses glisten faintly in the candlelight, each one perfectly packed for maximum ignition. Sabotage method. With Dern keeping watch near the false wall, you work methodically. Step 1. Use your dagger to slit each keg's wax seal and pull out the fuses entirely. Step 2. Carefully dump a little powder from each keg onto the stone floor, then scatter it to reduce potency. Step 3. Replace the kegs so at first glance they still look intact, but without fuses or compact charge, they're useless. You also coat the fuse holes with a thin layer of wax from a nearby candle so that even if someone tries to jam in new fuses, they'll have to clean each keg first. That will buy time. Result. The explosives are now effectively inert unless rebuilt, which will take hours and specific tools. From the outside, no one would know until they tried to light one. Dern smirks faintly. Open quote. That'll ruin someone's night in a hurry. Close quote. Do you want Simon and Dern to 1. Sabotage the poisoned bolts and spears in the other crate as well. 2. Grab the maps, ledgers, and propaganda and leave for the tunnel exit. 3. Do both before leaving the hidden passage.
Simon and want to do both before leaving the hidden passage.
You and Dern move swiftly, keeping your sabotage precise but thorough. Sabotaging the weapons. At crate 3, you find the short spears and crossbow bolts tipped with the faint green sheen of poison. Working together. Simon uses a rag to wipe off as much of the toxin as possible, smearing it harmlessly across the stone floor where it will evaporate. Dern dulls each tip slightly with a small file from the tack room tools, just enough to ruin their lethality without making the damage obvious. By the time you're done, these weapons are more fit for training than war, and anyone expecting them to drop a target will be in for a surprise. Gathering evidence and loot. From the canvas bundles and other crates, you take all tunnel maps, including the unmarked hill exit, 6 ledgers naming contacts, payments, and shipments, propaganda banner and proclamations linking Vex to a new order. The Iron Coffer's letter is intentionally left behind, locked inside the coffer in its original spot. You stow the items securely, making sure the ledgers are dry and flat. The total weight is enough to slow you slightly, but Dern takes part of the load without complaint. The hidden passage is now sabotaged, stripped of key assets, and holding an extremely dangerous prisoner who has sworn to kill Vex for you when the time comes. Do you want Simon and Dern to 1. Leave via the unmarked hill exit to avoid the main cellar entirely. 2. Sneak back through the main cellar and exit the way you came in.
Okay, we'll do it for tonight. We'll start session 8 soon, but that's it for now. By the way, what was the name of tonight's episode?
Got it. We'll freeze the scene right there in the hidden passage with Simon and Dern making their escape plans. Tonight's episode title practically writes itself. Given the infiltration, sabotage, and the deal with the caged specimen, I'd call it Blades for Hire, Episode 7 Shadows, Chains, and Quiet Knives. That captures the mix of stealth work, prisoner bargain, and silent takedowns that define the session. When we start Episode 8, we'll pick up right at the unmarked hill exit decision point.
Okay. Well, that's going to do it for tonight, folks. Hopefully, you enjoyed it. I'm not sure when I'll get back to this next time, but hopefully, we'll play Curse of Strahd next Monday and get moving on that more. So, make sure that you like and subscribe. That way, you know whenever we're running something, be it Curse of Strahd or something with Simon and Ella or just Simon like tonight. But again, thanks for coming out and watching. Hope to see you soon. Thanks. Bye.